Thank you, honey. Thank you, Michelle, and Andy, and Terry. And before I get started, there's actually a hero in our midst that I'd like to recognize. Officer Bill Cahill, over here to my left. Many of you know that Officer Cahill works for the Coatesville Police Department. Just a little over a week ago, he was investigating a theft, and the suspect stabbed him multiple times, nearly killing him. And here he is today, and God bless him. So good morning, everyone. I am Bill McSwain. It's great to see so many friendly faces. But even for those of you who already know me, let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I stand for. Most importantly, I'm Stephanie's husband. And I'm Connor, Brady, Nancy, and Billy's dad. I'm a native Pennsylvanian, raised right here in Westchester, and I'm a proud graduate of Westchester Henderson High School. I am also a United States Marine. I'm a prosecutor and a former United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, appointed by President Trump, responsible for the public safety of the nearly 6 million residents of this district, including all of you. And as of today, I am a Republican candidate for governor. I am a fighter for conservative values that lift people up and enable our communities to thrive. As U.S. Attorney, I upheld the rule of law when other public officials in Philadelphia would not. I put violent criminals and corrupt public officials in jail, and I stood up to the radical leftist district attorney in Philadelphia, Larry Krasner. I opposed Philadelphia's dangerous sanctuary city policies. I put rioters, looters, and arsonists in jail who tried to destroy Philadelphia last summer. People who torch police cars and throw Molotov cocktails in front of City Hall are not heroes. They are criminals to be prosecuted. I personally argued and won the Philadelphia heroin injection site case, preventing such sites from invading Pennsylvania neighborhoods. And as Terry O'Connor told you, I pursued the death penalty against her husband's murderer, and I took that case away from Larry Krasner, who cares more about criminals than he cares about victims. And Terry, you and your family deserve justice. Now, the cases I love the most are the ones that defend conservative principles and that people tell me I can't win. For example, just behind me and to my right is a historic plaque of the Ten Commandments, presented to Chester County as a gift over 100 years ago. After an atheist brought suit against the county, a federal judge actually ordered that that plaque had to be removed, until I got involved and got that decision reversed. And as a result, that plaque will be on our historic courthouse for as long as the courthouse is standing here, just as it should. Several years ago, the city of Philadelphia gave the Boy Scouts of America an eviction notice from their historic headquarters in Fairmount Park, until I got involved and defeated the city in a federal court trial. I also took on big tech and defeated their effort to silence an Intel whistleblower named Ken Hamidi. He was even banned from sending emails until I got involved and got that decision reversed in the California Supreme Court, vindicating Mr. Hamidi's free speech rights. Now, in all these cases, and in others, people told me these battles were too tough. They told me the Ten Commandments plaque has to go, that the Boy Scouts couldn't stay, that big tech would run me over, that the woke mob would get their heroin injection sites. They told me not to question Larry Krasner's decisions to allow lawlessness on the streets of Philadelphia. But I did it anyway, because you can't back away from challenges when safety, justice, fairness, and freedom hang in the balance. And that reminds me of a story from my Marine Corps days I'd like to tell you. Now, many of you know, Marines, they're pretty tough. They like to mess with each other. They like to test each other. And in my 20s, I was an infantry platoon commander on deployment in the country of Jordan in the Middle East. And I was still relatively new to my platoon. So my Marines decided to test me. We were getting ready to go out on a long hike in the desert, and I was away from my gear for a few minutes as I received some final instructions from my battalion commander. When I returned to the platoon, I reached down and grabbed my pack, and I realized something was up. My pack felt like it was glued to the ground. I couldn't even move that thing at all. I heard a few snickers around me, and I guessed that my Marines had probably stuffed something really, really heavy inside my pack while I was away. So what was I going to do? Was I going to laugh? Was I going to get mad? Was I going to get somebody in trouble? Should I open up my pack right on the spot, see what's inside? I'll tell you what I did. I grabbed my pack. I summoned every bit of energy I had to hoist that refrigerator up on my back. I kept a straight face like everything was normal. And I set out on the hike with my platoon falling in behind me. And on that hike, I set the fastest pace I possibly could until we arrived at our destination, with the whole platoon exhausted, including me. And then my platoon gathered around me, and I took my pack off and I dumped it on the ground. I opened it up and I took out the gigantic cinder block that my Marines had stuffed in my pack. And I hoisted that cinder block up over my head and I chucked it as far as I could. And we all burst out laughing and whooped it up. My Marines had made their point, and I had made my point too. And we were a better unit because of it. And I will always put the needs of my unit ahead of my own personal needs or wishes. Now, I served in what's called the 1st Battalion, 4th Marine Infantry Regiment, or what Marines call 1-4. And our official motto was, whatever it takes. That's the mentality we need right now in Pennsylvania, whatever it takes. Tom Wolfe and Josh Shapiro have driven Pennsylvania into a ditch, and we're going to do whatever it takes to pull her out. And when we do, we're going to be looking through the windshield, not the rearview mirror, and we are going to leave Wolfe and Shapiro behind for good. So here's what we need to do together. First, we will restore the freedoms that Wolfe and Shapiro have taken away. We will have no irrational and unscientific closings and no heavy-handed state dictates on how Pennsylvanians live their lives. We will revive Pennsylvania's economy by cutting taxes for working families, by supporting small businesses, by reducing regulations and cutting wasteful spending. We will promote our energy industry instead of trying to regulate it to death. We will get the government off of your back. Next, we will support our police, and we will uphold the rule of law. We will never cut police funding, and will stand up to those who try. We will stand up for the law-abiding people in the community. And when it comes to public safety, our priority will be protecting the people, not coddling the criminals. We will have an educational system that empowers parents and puts students and teachers first, and puts teachers' unions last. And no parent will be forced to send their children to a failing school. They deserve to have a choice. There will be no forced closures of our schools. We will not make families turn their kitchens into classrooms. And our schools will teach the founding principles that have made America the freest, greatest, most tolerant country in the history of the world. We will have an election system in our state in which everybody has confidence. Now, I know that election fraud exists because I actually prosecuted it and convicted ballot-stuffing election officials in Philadelphia while I was U.S. Attorney. We will secure our elections by having common-sense laws to protect against fraud, such as voter ID, and by having statewide election officials who are focused on transparency and accuracy rather than on partisan politics. We will make it easy to vote, but hard to cheat. Finally, as governor, I promise to protect you from any threats from the federal government, including any attempts to impose socialism or to limit our freedoms. I will fight with all the commitment that I learned as a Marine and a prosecutor to protect the vulnerable and to restore freedom, public safety, and economic and educational opportunity. And I will do it with the same force of will that I demonstrated when I led my platoon with that cinder block on my back. Now, that's one of the big differences between Governor Wolf and me. On those rare days that Governor Wolf even bothers to show up for work, he's punching out early so he can get home to Mount Wolf in New York and maybe curl up with a good book. When I was U.S. Attorney, there was never any mystery where I was. All day, every day, even in the pandemic, I was on the job working for the people of Pennsylvania, working for you. I was either out in the community or I was at my desk at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, midnight or later. And if you don't believe me, just ask Stephanie. I was on duty because I took an oath to protect the community and to protect you, and that means something to me. I will be a governor who will give the job every ounce of energy that I can muster. A governor who will carry on no matter how many bricks are in my pack, because I know that we're in this together. A governor who will not just show up for you, but stand up for you, your family, and your freedom. As your governor, my accountability to you will be not just a job, but an honor. We have a motto in the Marines, Semper Fi. It means always faithful. Semper Fi, Pennsylvania. You can count on me to be faithful to you, always. God bless you, God bless your families, and may God bless Pennsylvania. Thank you.